The cracks in my marriage began as faint whispers, lingering glances at parties, sudden work emergencies that bled into weekends, the scent of unfamiliar cologne clinging to her blouses. Claire had always been ambitious, her laughter sharpened by a hunger for recognition, but I never imagined her ambition would rot into something darker. It was the third missed anniversary that severed the final thread. She arrived home at midnight, her apologies rehearsed and hollow, while I sat at the kitchen island tracing the rim of a wineglass. I didn't ask questions. I didn't need to. The truth was etched in the way she avoided my reflection in the dark window, her posture rigid as a stranger's. For weeks, I played the fool. I memorized the rhythm of her lies, the way her voice tightened when she mentioned Mark from accounting, the extra minutes she spent smoothing her hair before video calls. I followed her once, parking 3 cars behind, as her silver Lexus slid into a downtown hotel garage. I didn't wait to see him. Instead, I drove to the quiet edge of the city, where the river swallowed the noise, and plotted in the stillness. Revenge, I decided, wouldn't be a blade to the heart, but a slow unraveling. Claire loved control, her life a meticulously staged performance. To break her, I'd need to dismantle it, piece by piece, audience by audience. I started with her career. Late nights, I combed through her work laptop, copying spreadsheets, client emails, the incriminating trail of inflated commissions she'd hidden for years. She thought herself a virtuoso of manipulation, but her shortcuts were careless. Her arrogance leaving digital fingerprints everywhere. I stored the evidence in encrypted folders, a ghost in her own machine. Next, I became a shadow in her world, attending her charity galas with a placid smile, charming her colleagues with anecdotes about her dedication. They adored me, the devoted husband, oblivious to the poison seeping into their trust. The key was her mentor, Richard Voss, a titan of the industry, a man who prized loyalty above all. At a rooftop fundraiser, I steered him into conversation, flattering his legacy, lamenting how modern executives lacked his integrity. "Claire worries you'll retire," I murmured, watching his silver brows furrow. "She says the new guard plays too dirty, even for you." His smile chilled. I knew then the seeds had taken root. At home, Claire buzzed with triumph, oblivious. She'd secured a promotion, her office now a glass-walled throne overlooking the skyline. "We should celebrate," she said, her fingers brushing mine, a pantomime of intimacy. I kissed her cheek, the scent of Mark's cologne still clinging to her skin. "Soon," I promised. Richard's retirement party was a sea of black ties and whispered ambitions. Claire wore emerald silk, her laugh ringing too bright as she networked. I lingered near the bar, nursing a scotch, until Richard motioned me over. His hand gripped my shoulder like a vice. "You were right about Claire," he said, voice low. "She's been funneling kickbacks through offshore accounts, had my team dig deeper after our talk." I feigned shock, anger, the dutiful husband betrayed. "I had no idea," I lied. "She's been distant, but this—" He handed me a USB drive the next morning. Transaction records, shell companies, a trail even Claire couldn't spin. "Ethics committee meets Friday," he said. "They'll handle it discreetly." I thanked him, my pulse steady. Discretion wasn't part of the plan. That afternoon I strolled into Claire's office, the USB tucked in my coat. Her assistant frowned. "Mr. Carter, she's in a meeting," but I slipped past, planting the drive in her drawer, nestled beneath lipstick tubes. By evening, anonymous tipsters had flooded the board's inboxes. The fallout was swift. Claire's name splashed across headlines, her colleagues recoiling as if scandal were contagious. She stormed home, her fury scolding. "Someone set me up," she raged, pacing the marble floors. I poured her wine, my face a mask of concern. Who would do this? I let her unravel. She accused rivals, paranoid and trembling, while I quietly liquidated our joint accounts, redirecting funds to untraceable vaults. The final touch was her lover. Mark, it turned out, had a wife, a sharp-eyed journalist who'd long suspected his infidelity. I mailed her a dossier, hotel receipts, timestamps, Claire's flirtations immortalized in text. The video leaked on a Thursday. Claire, half-dressed, laughing as Mark nuzzled her neck. His wife's caption was merciless, a lesson in loyalty. By noon, Claire's face was a meme, her reputation ash. Claire's collapse was quieter than I'd expected. She stopped leaving the guest room, her once immaculate hair matted, her eyes hollow. I brought her tea, murmuring platitudes, savoring the rot beneath the surface. The ethics committee expelled her. The bank foreclosed on her accounts. Even her parents, ever the socialites, disowned her. "You've humiliated us," her father spat over the phone. "Never call again." I waited until autumn to file for divorce. The papers were a formality. She'd already lost everything. My lawyer, a pit bull in pinstripes, ensured the settlement left her destitute. Claire signed without protest, her signature a shaky scrawl. Last I heard, she'd moved to a studio apartment, working cashier shifts at a grocery store. Sometimes I drive past, watching her through the glass, a ghost in a red vest, flinching when men leer. She doesn't see me. She never did. As for Mark, his wife took the children and the brownstone. He drinks now, haunting dive bars, slurring stories no one believes. I sold the penthouse, bought a vineyard upstate. The neighbors adore me, the charming widower, tragic yet resilient. They invite me to barbecues, their pity a sweet vintage. I smile, toast their kindness, and tend my grapes. Revenge, I've learned, isn't a fire, it's a frost, slow, silent, and utterly unrelenting. And